Picture this. It's 1955. A soft morning glow fills a pastel-colored kitchen. The hum of the refrigerator blends with the clink of polished chrome as a housewife buffs her toaster until it shines like a mirror. Her curls are perfect, her lipstick flawless, her apron tied neatly at the waist. To anyone watching, she looks like the definition of domestic perfection. But behind that flawless smile lies a world of secrets, strange rituals, clever tricks, and quiet pressures that made her world spin. Before we step inside her life, take a second to subscribe and hit that bell icon, because this is just the beginning of our journey through the forgotten side of 1950s America. Every week, we uncover hidden stories, lost traditions, and the truth behind the perfect picture. Now, let's lift the curtain. In the 1950s, everything about a woman's world revolved around appearances: her home, her husband, her children, and herself. But perfection didn't come easy. It was stitched together with resourcefulness, creativity, and a little bit of quiet rebellion. Take mayonnaise, for example. Most of us think of it as a sandwich spread, but to a 1950s housewife, it was nothing short of a miracle cream. When beauty products were expensive or hard to find, she turned to her kitchen cabinet. She'd mix a spoonful of mayo in a small glass bowl, maybe add a drop of lemon juice, and smooth it across her skin. 20 minutes later, she'd rinse it away to reveal a soft glow that rivaled any fancy cream at the drugstore. For her hair, a dab of mayonnaise worked like a deep conditioner. It was practical, cheap, and quietly brilliant, passed from friend to friend, whispered during coffee mornings, never printed in magazines. And that was the beauty of her world, hidden wisdom disguised as simplicity. But the secrets didn't stop in the kitchen. When a shirt tore or a dress snagged, she didn't throw it away. She sat by a lamp with a needle, thread, and a steady hand, practicing what they called invisible mending. Every stitch was small, precise, perfectly matched to the fabric. The goal wasn't just to fix, it was to erase the flaw. For her, sewing wasn't only thrift, it was pride. A visible patch could mean failure. A perfect mend meant grace. Some women even used a strand of their own hair as thread for delicate work. Can you imagine that? Late at night, when the house was quiet, she'd sit there repairing the world, one tiny thread at a time. And that's what made her remarkable. She didn't have much, but she made everything last. Of course, not every secret was practical. Some were, well, strange, like the Jell-O obsession. To the 1950s housewife, Jell-O wasn't just dessert, it was art, status, and performance. She could serve it in layers of pink, green, and gold, filled with fruit, vegetables, or even shrimp. Cookbooks of the era were filled with recipes that sound absurd today. Tuna salads suspended in lime gelatin, carrots flowing in orange molds, whole meals encased in wobbling perfection. It was flashy, colorful, and oddly elegant. Hosting bridge club or a dinner party was serious business, and her Jell-O creation was a symbol of success. Even if she hated making it, she'd smile and serve it proudly, because appearances mattered. The neighbors were watching. The ladies were comparing. And every detail, even dessert, told the story of how put together a woman really was. But beneath all the clever tricks and polished smiles lay the heaviest secret of all: the pressure to be perfect. The world told her she could have it all, but only if she never faltered. She had to keep the house spotless, cook 3 meals a day, raise polite children, entertain guests, look stunning, and do it all with grace. Magazines showed her the dream: a shining kitchen, a happy husband, and that eternal red lipstick smile. But reality was something entirely else. Many women felt trapped, lonely, and exhausted. Their individuality faded under the weight of expectations. Some found relief in what they called mother's little helpers, small pills that promised calm and composure. Others hid their sadness behind perfume and powder, pretending the glossy magazine version of happiness was real. They couldn't afford to complain. Vulnerability wasn't something a good wife showed. So they smiled. They polished the silver, pressed the curtains, made dinner on time, and carried on, even when they were falling apart inside. That was the real secret of the 1950s housewife. Strength. Quiet, invisible strength. The kind that held families together without anyone noticing. When we look back now, it's easy to see the glamour, the order, the charm of that world. But beneath it all were women who built perfection out of pressure, who created beauty from necessity, and who kept their stories tucked away behind polite smiles. They didn't just cook and clean. They invented, adapted, and endured. From Mayo facials to midnight sewing sessions, from shimmering jello molds to silent resilience, they were masters of survival in pearls and heels. We remember them as symbols of the past, but their ingenuity still echoes today. So the next time you open your fridge, or toss out a shirt with a tear, or scroll past another perfect image online, think of her, the woman who smiled through exhaustion, who found solutions where none existed, who carried the weight of a dream the world demanded she live. And that's just the beginning, because in the next chapter we'll uncover her beauty rituals, the cold creams, the bizarre treatments, the timeless glow-ups that defined a generation. Secrets so strange they'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about vintage beauty. Make sure you're subscribed, because what comes next reveals not just how she looked perfect, but how she became the icon of a forgotten America. Imagine this. It's dusk in 1957. The house hums with quiet after dinner as a housewife slips into her low heels, the soft click of each step echoing through the hallway. Her lipstick hasn't faded, her hair still pinned to perfection, and tucked away in a drawer sits her diary, her one forbidden treasure. To the world, she's grace personified, the ideal homemaker. But behind that calm smile lives 1,000 little secrets, clever tricks, coded thoughts, and moments of quiet rebellion that kept her spirit alive. Tonight, we're peeling back those layers to uncover the hidden world of the 1950s woman, the one who turned exhaustion into elegance, pressure into poise, and survival into art. From whispered diary confessions to beauty rituals that walked a fine line between charm and chaos, every secret reveals her strength, her ingenuity, and her heart. As twilight falls, the story begins with a ritual most women of the era swore by, the evening basket blitz. Picture it. The clock strikes 7, the radio hums in the background, and she grabs her woven basket, the kind you'd see at a summer picnic. In 10 graceful minutes, she sweeps through the living room, tossing toys, newspapers, and stray socks into the basket with methodical precision. No scrubbing, no deep clean, just a quick reset before the night settles in. Vintage homemaking guides called it evening renewal. She called it peace. With a cup of tea nearby and the children tucked in, this little dance turned chaos into calm. It wasn't about perfection, it was about control, reclaiming a small pocket of order in a world that demanded so much of her. Today, influencers call it declutter therapy. Back then, it was survival wrapped in style, a 10-minute secret that kept mornings magical and husbands impressed. But the neatness didn't end there. The same woman who could make her home sparkle also carried an entire world of thoughts she couldn't speak aloud. Enter the coded diary, a quiet revolution written in ink. Hidden under floorboards, tucked inside sewing drawers, or wrapped in old scarves, these journals were the heartbeats of women who couldn't say what they felt. Every entry was encrypted, H3 for husband's third complaint, a tiny flower doodle for loneliness, a sunburst for hope. Some pages told stories of triumph, a perfectly baked pie, a compliment from a neighbor, while others revealed the ache of rainy weeks and unspoken dreams. These journals were therapy, not rebellion. They offered her something no one else could: honesty. Many were burned before death, their words never meant for another's eyes. But for the women who wrote them, they were sacred spaces, proof that behind the tidy kitchens and pressed dresses there lived complex, feeling souls. Modern journaling apps might be digital now, but their spirit, it was born from these whispered confessions of the past. Of course, even self-care had its peculiar twist. One of her more shocking habits by today's standards was something called the cigarette glow-up. It sounds outrageous now, but in the 1950s, lighting a cigarette wasn't just a vice, it was a ritual. She'd start her morning with coffee in one hand, a cigarette in the other, exhaling slowly as if releasing every ounce of stress. Beauty columns even claimed nicotine relaxed facial tension, making the skin smoother. So she'd puff, then apply her cold cream, blending it in gentle circles while the smoke curled above her vanity mirror. It wasn't rebellion, it was routine, a kind of meditative glamour before facing another long day of PTA meetings, ironing, and grocery runs. Today we see the danger in it, but back then it was part of her 5-minute spa, a small, smoky luxury in a life that rarely paused. Beneath the lipstick and lashes was a truth that echoed through every puff. Perfection always came with a shadow. But perhaps the most fascinating secret of all was her mastery of style, a quiet genius called the wardrobe ward-off. In an age without fast fashion, she learned to make 10 dresses feel like 100. Her closet was carefully curated: shirt-waist dresses for Mondays, floral day frocks for errands, a crisp apron for cooking, and one cherished cocktail dress for Friday nights. She mended everything with invisible stitches, washed each garment by hand, and planned weekly outfits like a general mapping strategy. Scarves, brooches, and belts became her tools of reinvention. Each small detail whispered effort, not extravagance. Looking frumpy wasn't an option. In her neighborhood, a wrinkled hem could spark gossip faster than wildfire. Her diary might reveal the toll: late nights at the ironing board, fingers raw from fabric care. But it also revealed her pride. Dressing well wasn't vanity, it was armor, a declaration that she could match the glossy women in magazines, even without their wealth. She was an early minimalist long before the word existed, proving that creativity didn't come from excess, it came from necessity. Her capsule wardrobe wasn't about fashion trends, it was survival wrapped in grace. And now, decades later, the same philosophy is returning. Modern challenges ask women to live with less, to reuse, to find style in simplicity. But she was already doing that 70 years ago, with a needle, a scarf, and sheer determination. As the night deepens in 1957, our housewife finally sits down. The basket is full, the diary is closed, the curls still perfect, and the world around her quiet. But behind that stillness lies the rhythm of resilience, a story of strength woven into every ordinary act. Her secrets weren't grand or scandalous, they were practical, personal, and profoundly human. From evening basket blitzes to coded diaries, cigarette glow-ups to wardrobe wizardry, every ritual painted a portrait of a woman balancing grace with grit. She didn't just survive the expectations of her time, she redefined them in silence. Each secret was a small rebellion, a reminder that perfection was never effortless. And as we turn the page to her next chapter, the one filled with beauty rituals, self-care hacks, and quiet moments of rebellion, one truth lingers. Her life wasn't simple. It was layered, luminous, and unforgettable. Step into a 1950s kitchen where the scent of fresh-baked cookies mingles with the hum of a vacuum cleaner. The housewife, in her crisp dress and pearl necklace, seems to have it all together. But what's she hiding? Behind those perfectly set curls and spotless countertops lie secrets that made her life both ingenious and intense. From clever tricks to survive on a budget to the unspoken rules of her world, we're unveiling the 1950s housewife's hidden gems. Ready to discover the lost arts and quiet struggles of this iconic era? Before we dive in, if you love rediscovering forgotten times and lost wisdom, make sure to hit subscribe right now because you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's begin. The first secret is one that still works today, the vinegar cleaning hack. In the 1950s, housewives didn't have aisles full of cleaning sprays. They had one miracle ingredient, vinegar. A gallon cost just pennies and could clean almost anything. Mixed with water, it made glass sparkle. Combined with baking soda, it cut through grease. Housewives traded cleaning recipes like gossip, proud of their spotless homes and shiny ovens. Some even used vinegar in laundry to brighten whites without bleach. Long before eco-friendly became trendy, they were already living it, turning simple pantry staples into powerful cleaning tools. Their secret wasn't luxury, it was resourcefulness, born from necessity. The second secret was all about connection, the handwritten recipe swap. Cookbooks were nice, but the real treasures were the handwritten cards passed between friends at bridge clubs or church gatherings. These little index cards carried family recipes, scribbled in ink and love. One might read, "Add a pinch of salt and a little patience." Another might say, "Bake for him at 350 degrees Fahrenheit," hinting at how much cooking was tied to love, duty, and sometimes quiet competition. These cards weren't just instructions, they were status. A great pie could make you the talk of the neighborhood. Today, we post recipes online, but back then, a worn recipe card meant something deeper. It was heritage, pride, and belonging. Now, the lipstick rule. It sounds simple, but in the 1950s, lipstick was power. Housewives were taught to never greet their husbands without it. Ads told them that a happy home started with a pretty smile, and that smile better be red. Some women even kept a small mirror in the kitchen, touching up between chores. It wasn't vanity, it was armor, a way to face the world that constantly demanded perfection. For many, that single swipe of color was a reminder that they still mattered, even when everything they did went unnoticed. In a time when appearance defined worth, lipstick became a quiet rebellion against exhaustion. Then there was the hidden diary habit. Not every 1950s housewife lived the dream she displayed. Many poured their hearts into secret journals, tucked under mattresses or hidden in sewing boxes. Inside, they wrote what they could never say aloud: frustration, loneliness, and longing for something beyond the kitchen walls. Some used codes so even their husbands wouldn't understand. These pages were therapy in an era that didn't talk about emotions. When historians later found these diaries, they uncovered a different kind of courage, the courage to be honest in a world that demanded silence. Those quiet pages whispered the truth behind the smile. And now the final secret, the one that held them all together, the hidden strength behind the smile. Behind every spotless home and every perfect roast was a woman who refused to give up. When the washing machine broke, she fixed it. When money ran low, she stretched every dollar until payday. She balanced everything, kids, chores, and expectations, and did it with grace that seemed effortless. But it wasn't. It was strength in disguise. Her power wasn't loud or celebrated. It lived in the quiet moments, ironing shirts, mending socks, or wiping away tears before the dinner bell. She carried invisible weight and made it look easy. Her smile wasn't weakness. It was survival. And that, more than anything, was her greatest secret. So when you think of the 1950s housewife, don't just picture pearls and perfection. Picture grit. Picture resourcefulness. Picture a woman who could turn vinegar into magic, recipes into memories, and lipstick into courage. She wasn't just maintaining a home. She was holding an entire world together with quiet power and grace. Now, I've got a question for you. Which of these secrets surprised you the most? The cleaning hacks, the hidden diaries, or the lipstick rule? Tell me down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And before you go, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that notification bell, because next we're uncovering the 1950s fashion tricks that fooled everyone. Trust me, you won't believe what women used to do just to look effortlessly perfect. Until then, here's to the women who did it all, with a smile, a secret, and a strength we'll never fully understand.